The Chair now calls Adnan Alonto as Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia with concurrent jurisdiction over the Republic of Yemen and with the salary and emoluments of the Chief of Mission +1. The Secretary will please administer the oath to the nominee.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this proceeding, so help you God? I do.
Please take your seat, Ambassador. Do you have any opening statement? You're a lawyer by profession.
I am, Your Honor.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, Your Honors, I have an opening statement, and with your indulgence, since the previous nominees are career foreign officers, I feel that I had to make my case in terms of justifying why I am the nominee for this very important post. May I proceed, Your Honor?
Please proceed.
The Honorable Chair, Senator Panfilo Lacson, distinguished members of the Commission on Appointments, ladies and gentlemen. With your kind indulgence, Mr. Chair, Your Honors, may I begin with a brief prayer. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahmanirrahim, Malik Yawmiddin, Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in, Ihdinas siratal mustaqim, siratal ladina an'amta alaihim ghairil maghdubi alaihim waladdallin, amin. A good and blessed morning to all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Attorney Adnan Alonto. I am 58 years old, married to Jo Ernest Castro Alonto, with 3 children, all married, and with 3 grandchildren. I present myself today as nominee for the position of Ambassador to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and with concurrent jurisdiction to the Republic of Yemen. I hope for your favorable disposition on my nomination. Understandably, your most obvious question is, why Attorney Alonto? With your kindest attention, let me answer in all honesty and truthfulness. First, I bear with me with a legacy of honest and dedicated public service. My late father, Ahmad Dumukau Alonto, became congressman and thereafter Senator of the Republic from 1955 until 1961. He was credited for the passage of historic laws that benefited cultural minorities, indigenous peoples, Muslims, and even our Christian brothers. As author of enabling laws creating the Mindanao State University, the then Commission on National Integration, and the Mindanao Development Authority, my father was also a recognized figure in the Islamic world, being one of the founders and permanent member of the Constituent Council of the Muslim World League, or the Rabita al-Alam al-Islami, an organization which acts as an advisory body on the part of the Saudi government for religious and cultural affairs. It is based in Makkah al-Mukarramah, Saudi Arabia, until his death in 2002. He holds the distinction of being the lone Filipino recipient of the King Faisal Award of Service to Islam in 1988. I had the privilege of accompanying my father twice in Makkah al-Mukarramah in 1986 and in 1987 as his personal assistant to attend the annual Muslim World League Constituent Council meeting. It was in one of those occasions when I had a once-in-a-lifetime chance of praying inside the Al-Kaaba al-Musharrafah, the holiest in Islam's monuments, when its gate was opened at the instance of then King Fahd bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud for the benefit of the Rabita members. My father gained prominence when he was a member of the Philippine delegation to the Bandung Conference in the late 1950s, where he met the late Egyptian President Abdul Gamal Nasser. President Nasser acted favorably on my father's request to sponsor the scholarship of Muslim Filipino youth at Al-Azhar University in Cairo. This has expanded to 100 Muslim Filipinos who have and are still studying in other educational institutions in Medina al-Munawwara, Makkah al-Mukarramah, Cairo, and elsewhere in the Middle East. Many believe that this important meeting in Bandung marked the beginning of our substantial foreign relations with the Islamic world. I may be bold in claiming that there is a genetic predisposition to follow in the footsteps of our fathers. We cannot deny the fact that there are families of doctors, engineers, educators, business entrepreneurs, and public servants. My grandfather, Sultan Adnan Alonto, our first elected Muslim senator, and my father were dedicated public servants. I aim to be like them, God willing. The outstanding standard of public service set by my father continued to inspire me. The goodwill he built in the Islamic world, I hope to reap, inshallah. He has instilled in me that given the opportunity to serve, it must be in the interest and the good of the country and its citizens first, before self and family. Further, the public service is enhanced by integrity, industriousness, and compassion. This is the legacy I intend to honor, keep, and pass on to my children and theirs as well. Second, I have been a migrant worker myself. My story of sacrifice living in and working in a foreign land echoes the story of millions of temporary and permanent migrant Filipinos. I have lived the Filipino migrant experience, its ups and downs, the cultural shock and adjustment, the discrimination which was daily, one has to contend with, the hard work to prove one's worth over the less deserving in a competitive work environment, the constant financial support extended to relatives in the Philippines, the understanding and cooperation with Filipino of different regional backgrounds and ethnicities, the constant striving as well for peaceful coexistence with foreign nationals of diverse cultural roots, and of course, the loneliness and longing for the homeland. I cannot but repeat my admiration and deep respect for the Filipinos' ability to adopt, integrate, survive, and succeed despite encountering tough and adverse situations. I have done it myself, as other migrant Filipinos did and are still doing. For me, being a migrant is really just a matter of geography, for my heart, mind, spirit belong and remain here with my country of birth. What better way to honor our migrant workers in the kingdom and Yemen by sending one of their own? For this reason alone, I feel humbled but honored. Third, I am a lawyer of the Philippines. Having passed the bar in 1985, had practiced law, which I continued in America. As a lawyer, I have the ability to comprehend international law, knowledge of Philippine law, and as a Muslim, the understanding of Sharia law and Islamic culture. This gives me an advantage in tackling my duties and responsibilities in representing the Philippines in the kingdom with a fairly high Filipino migrant workers population of 763,825. The kingdom is a strategic ally of the Philippines in the Middle East, while Yemen is of some concern to us considering its present situation. My legal background will be valuable in the analysis of ramifications of legal documents, such as agreements, treaties, and government memoranda, and our national sovereignty, integrity, self-determination, and adherence to international law. I will understand well and better explain the application of Sharia law in the kingdom's legal system with regard to the treatment of our Filipino migrant workers. The promotion and preservation of welfare and best interests of our Filipino migrant workers in the kingdom and in Yemen is undeniably of vital importance, considering we have a high concentration of Filipinos there with their families depending on them here. Fourth, my latest work experience was with an American company with a high-profile global presence in information technology. I am therefore proficient in the language of business. I have acquired the competency to conduct business transactions in American and even international arenas. This work experience will aid me in any undertaking that would enhance business and trade relations between the Philippines and the Kingdom and the business interests and companies therefrom for mutual gain. Fifth, it is undeniable that the Kingdom and Yemen are predominantly Muslim countries. The Kingdom is host to the two holiest shrines in Islam, making it the most important destination for all Muslims, at least once in their lifetime, your humble representation included. As a Muslim, and I say so in behalf of almost 12 million Muslim Filipinos, my ties with the Kingdom is special, it is sentimental, and it is even personal. As your Muslim ambassador, I will have personal and on-site access to migrant workers in Makkah al-Mukarramah and Medina al-Munawwara. As your Filipino ambassador, I espouse my father's advocacy in the promotion of understanding and respect between Filipino Muslims and Christian brothers wherever they may be. On the issue of citizenship, I have always retained my Filipino citizenship. My family relocated to America in 1995, and in 1986, we became residents of America. By 2002, I was already eligible for U.S. citizenship, but I did not opt for it. In 2003, the dual citizenship law, authored by His Honorable Senator Franklin Drilon, granted the Filipinos applying for foreign citizenship will not lose their natural-born status and will likewise retain their Filipino citizenship. I was elated by this turn of events. Still, I did not acquire U.S. citizenship. By 2005, my eldest daughter was getting ready for college, and with two other kids soon getting there, and in order for them to avail of student loans or scholarship grants, I had to acquire U.S. citizenship. I felt that I had to do it as ultimately it benefited my three kids who all graduated in their chosen careers and degrees. Mr. Chair, Your Honors, I had to do what a parent would do in those circumstances, and still retaining my Filipino citizenship, as I have explained earlier. I have renounced my U.S. citizenship in November 2016 in unequivocal terms before our Deputy Consul in San Francisco. In January 2017, I executed the appropriate document before a U.S. Consul to reaffirm my renunciation. The document, in fact, clearly states that as far as the U.S. Department of State is concerned, I am no longer a U.S. citizen. Clearly, I have always been, and will forever be truly Filipino. Sixth, I believe that public servants occupying executive positions should enjoy the trust and confidence of any incumbent president. To be endorsed for nomination by the president himself speaks of his trust and confidence in my abilities and competence to represent him, and more importantly, the Philippines in foreign affairs, particularly with a strategic ally as the Kingdom. I will guarantee the informational flow between me and the President through the Departments of Foreign Affairs, Labor and Employment, and attached agencies involved in any foreign execution, implementation, and monitoring will be straightforward and comprehensive. I will adhere to the Philippine government's foreign and labor practices as its agenda and the protocol mandated to ensure better and harmonious diplomatic relations with the Kingdom and Yemen. The trust and confidence of the President are significant points for the position of ambassador. Yet these must be translated to an effective, efficient, and honest quality of service in the embassy in Riyadh for the benefit of our Filipino migrant workers, their families, and the Filipino people. Allow me, Your Honors, to prove myself worthy of the President's trust and confidence, and I am asking this Honorable Commission to do the same. Maraming salamat po.
The nominee is now ready to respond to comments and questions from the members of the committee. Senator Drilon is recognized. After that, after Senator Drilon, Congressman Salimbangon.
Actually, I have no question on the nominee. Going through the profile and investigation report, I think he is one of the most qualified to be appointed as our representative to Saudi Arabia. And it will be an honor and a pleasure for me to vote for his confirmation. I just have one advice to the good ambassador. You know, Saudi Arabia in the Muslim world is recognized as the leader of the Muslim community. And I have witnessed it myself years ago when there were some ambassadors who were so deferent to the officials of the kingdom that I started to doubt whether or not they can effectively protect our national interests, particularly of our OFWs. And I found that really disappointing and a sad commentary. What I'm just delivering to the good nominee is that we hope that you will not follow that path. Be assertive when it involves our Filipino workers. We assure you of the support of Congress. You appear extremely qualified for the post, and our only hope and message to you is be assertive and make sure that our principal mission being to protect our Filipino workers would really be achieved. And we will support you, Mr. Ambassador, as a representative to Saudi Arabia, and we wish you the best of luck in your new post. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Drilon. Congressman Silimbangon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This representation has yet to hear any negative comment from our nominee. I have so many relatives and friends in Mindanao, and all of them, all praises for the gentleman. And I'd like to manifest, Mr. Chair, that I be honored to co-sponsor the nomination of the good Ambassador Alonto. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you, Your Honor.
can we just have a response to the message, to the manifestation that I made on the record, insofar as he's being able to assert our
Kindly
interests?
respond to the comments of the Honorable Drilon.
I'll be honored. Mr. Chair, Your Honor, I see the point of the distinguished member, but I think and I believe that one of the advantages of sending a Muslim ambassador to such an important country like Saudi Arabia is that as an Ilocano to an Ilocano, or a Tagalog to a Tagalog, or a Visayan to a Visayan, when they talk, the element of good faith is already there. You already have a common ground. And there, it depends upon the two of you to negotiate and come into terms. And so I have that advantage, Your Honor. I have that advantage, and I intend to use that for the benefit and for the benefit of our OFWs, for our national interests, as well as the interests of this country for all that it ever takes, because my being a Muslim is something that should be taken advantage of, because Saudi Arabia is, as you have mentioned, is the leading Muslim country in the world. It is, we get our fuel requirements, half of our fuel requirements, in fact, we get from Saudi Arabia. And by having a Muslim ambassador there, like this representation, inshallah, you can be rest assured that everything that I will do will be for the benefit of this country.
Senator Honasan is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Ambassador, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
I wanted to hold my peace as I want to express my support for your confirmation. But this is encouraged by the previous question of Senator Drilon. If the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is acknowledged as the leader in the Muslim world, no? This is both a question and an appeal. Can your efforts be directed towards encouraging the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to exert moral, financial, material, political, and social influence over the ongoing peace process? Because we cannot give what we do not have. If our strategic objective is to bring home our millions of overseas Filipino workers, then we must be able to answer the question, what will they find when they go home? Ano ang uuwian nila dito sa atin? So it's an appeal and a question, and maybe, because you'll be interacting actively with the Saudi Arabian government, maybe that should be a trust that should constitute a major part of our national interest, strategically to bring home our overseas Filipino workers. Second, is to allow the leader of the Muslim world to exert some influence, to give it more traction, accelerate the process on the ongoing peace process, especially in southern Mindanao. That's my only question and appeal, Mr. Ambassador. May we hear a quick response?
Thank you, Your Honor. My understanding is that the kingdom is somehow involved.
Wait, Mr. Ambassador. Before I lose the train of thought, no? The conflict in Mindanao, not only the armed conflict, no, is being propagandized as a religious conflict. It's the Muslims against the Christians, against the government in Manila, no? The central government, which you and I suppose, disagree with. No? It is actually a reflection of this permanent battle that takes place in the hearts and minds of our people to give basic services. It's about food, clothing, shelter, medical services, infrastructure. Okay. And our understanding is it is also a generational problem. From our own limited experience, your cousin, my friend, Brother Rabul, will attest to this. If you look at us, and every single iconic rebel leader, you are looking at tired old men, tired of the armed conflict. But we have to manage this new generation of mujahideen who have been influenced by religious leaders, that the only path to historical redress is the armed struggle. That is what we are up against. They are beginning to talk of a secular state in Mindanao. That is what we have to manage, very clearly. So I'm sorry for that interruption. Your insights, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you very much, Your Honor. My understanding, Your Honor, is that the kingdom is already involved in the peace process. First, it has become, or it has been, a facilitator in the 1986 peace agreement with the MNLF. And as far as the peace agreement with the MILF, I think the kingdom is part of the ICG, the International Monitoring Group. And so I believe that the kingdom is involved in our peace process. But I agree with you that I think the kingdom, and for that matter, the Muslim world, should be brought into the negotiating table with more vigor and more involvement. Right now, our facilitator being Malaysia. Of course, this problem is not only an ASEAN problem. This is an international problem. This is a problem in the Muslim world, and it is being talked about there, at least in their context. So if we invite over the kingdom, and of course this is not entirely up to me. This is something that is a policy that needs to be decided by the Philippine government. I happen to agree with that. That they had to be brought into the negotiating table and had to be given more role and involvement as far as our peace process is concerned. May I just echo what is going on in Mindanao? I happen to agree with our president that what is going on in Mindanao is because of a historical wrong that needs to be corrected. And hopefully in our generation, we will be able to correct this historical wrong so that we can address fully the potentials of Mindanao as not only a land of promise, but a land where promises are kept and fulfilled.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The chair likewise fully supports the confirmation of the nominee. However, I'd like to pick your brain on an issue that is very close to the President's heart, illegal drugs. Now, there are presently 700 Filipinos detained in different prison facilities in Saudi Arabia, 21 of whom have been sentenced to death. 400 of the 700 were tagged in cases that are related to illegal drugs. My question is there still sense in pursuing or seeking for the clemency of the Filipinos involved in illegal drugs, considering the unrelenting drive ordered by the President against illegal drugs in this country? So, your thoughts, Mr. Ambassador.
Mr. Chair, can I answer the question as a lawyer? I'm putting my hat now as my lawyer's hat.
And as an ambassador.
Yes, Your Honor. In terms of whether it makes sense to seek clemency for our kababayans who are facing drug charges in Saudi Arabia, I would say that it would depend on the circumstances of each case. We have had horror stories in Saudi Arabia where evidence has been manufactured, cases even being railroaded, and those are the cases that I think that we need to look into, and perhaps make an assessment as to whether the wisdom of seeking clemency with respect to these people charged. But with respect to those who have really committed these crimes, then I believe that outside of ensuring that their rights have been respected under our standards of due process, I believe that the laws of this country need to be respected. That is my position, Your Honor. And let me just make a brief amendment that there are actually 31 death row cases and not 21.
Not 21. Thank you, Attorney or Ambassador-to-be Alonto. Anyway, that was your answer as a lawyer. I want to hear your answer as an ambassador.
Yes, Your Honor. As an ambassador, Your Honor, part of my duty is to ensure that our countrymen are given ample protection. And if that protection entails them bringing them home to our home country, then surely, Your Honor.
So you will still seek clemency?
Of course, Your Honor.
Yeah, that's the answer I want to hear.
Of course, Your Honor.
Mr. Ambassador. Thank you. Senator Zubiri is recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, first of all, I know the family of Ambassador Alonto very well. It's in his DNA to serve this government. Being a great grandson of Sultan Kudarat, the great Mindanao leader in the 1600s, as well as his whole family. His first cousin is my good friend, Secretary Alonto of Mindanao Development Authority. His nephew or cousin is Huki Adjong, the former Vice Governor of the province, now Congressman. Also the former Governor, Governor Bombit Adjong, and several others. No? The list goes on. They are a family of public servants, Your Honor. Hindi tayo papahiyain ng ambassador nito when he goes to Saudi Arabia. And being a fellow Mindanaoan, I'm very proud and honored, Mr. Chair. If others will still ask questions, may I just seek the right to be able to move for the confirmation, the approval and confirmation of the Honorable Adnan Alonto to the position of Ambassador to Saudi Arabia and the
There's a
Republic of
motion.
India.
Thank you, Your
Any
Honor.
second? Senator Drilon.
Just before we vote unanimously, I'm certain of the motion, may I just hear the plans of the nominee on our thousands of Filipinos who are now stranded in Saudi Arabia because of the closure of the company where they were working with? I don't know how many these are. And what is the plan of the good ambassador for these people to solve this problem? I understand they are in Saudi Arabia. They do not want to be repatriated because they have claims on their companies, legitimate claims. And so first, can you update the Commission on the situation, and what is the plan of the good nominee in order to solve this problem? Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, Your Honors, I believe that the Saudi Arabian government has recently issued a 90-day amnesty program. Because of this program, I believe 5,000 of our stranded workers there have applied for exit visas. There is a process, and I believe that the Department of Foreign Affairs and the Labor Department are doing a pretty good job in terms of processing the exit visas of these our compatriots. So far, my understanding is that there have been 1,400 Filipinos that have been repatriated under this program. Now, the problem remains, though, that there are thousands of Filipinos stuck there, some of whom refuse to leave because they are still expecting to be paid by their former employees or former employees who have not paid them their salaries. So this is one of the things that I intend to look into. Certainly, perhaps one of the reasons why, and I've been informed, one of the reasons why the President has chosen me as a nominee in this position is because he wanted someone who is not only a diplomat but has a knack for legalities to see what can still be done. I've received suggestions from the different Philcom leaders in Saudi Arabia to appoint more legal attaches in our consulate in Jeddah, as well in our embassy in Riyadh. My reaction, however, is that how many legal attaches do we really need? Because we are not solving the problem if we are going to put more lawyers there. There will come a time when, because of the exponential increase of our cases, perhaps our lawyers might exceed or outnumber our DFA personnel. So I believe that we need to look into the root of the problem. The root of the problem is that perhaps maybe we should revisit our policy in terms of the deployment of household service workers, and see if what are the economic costs that is entailed, and compare it with the social cost that is causing their families here. And so perhaps we need to look into maybe making stringent rules of approving these employment contracts. Because I think the common problem always is contract substitution, which is a rich source of dissatisfaction of our workers. In short, Your Honor, I think we need to revisit national policy of our deployment there. The DH and low-skilled workers constitutes about 60% of our labor force, and that is where the bulk of the problem is coming from. So we need to look and cut into the problem than just putting more personnel, because it's not going to solve it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Move to the previous question, Mr. Chair.
There is a motion properly seconded to recommend to the plenary to give its consent on the nomination or the appointment, confirmation of the nomination of Attorney Adnan Alonto as Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, with concurrent jurisdiction over the Republic of Yemen, with the salary and emoluments of a Chief of Mission +1. Hearing no objection, thank you and congratulations. Now, if all nominees and recommendees are like you, Ambassador Santos and Ambassador Catalya, it will not break my heart to move for the rejection of any appointee of the President. Thank you very much and good day.
Ask for a 1-minute suspension to congratulate the...
1 minute suspension. This meeting is resumed.